And we are live. So, welcome everyone. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a live stream. I've been on holiday, and also it's been mercilessly hot here in Europe, at least in Poland. It's plus 30 degrees, and I am dying, and I have a cold. But I'm very happy to be here with Murad again, who is doing amazing, groundbreaking work. And we're here to discuss chapter one of the Quran. But Murad, welcome back. Thank you for thank you for joining me. I mean,
Thank you for inviting me once again. This is going to be a great show. As usual, it's better when you speak with someone who knows what he's talking about. The conversation is much better. So, great stuff. Thank you for
and
having me.
thank you. And I am certainly talking to someone who knows what he's talking about. So yeah, no, but thank you again for coming on. It's really great to have you. So how's the traction in terms of your new Quran? Are people learning about it? Are you doing shows? Have you met with Chris? Are you planning to do a show with Chris as well? I know you did one with Adam.
I have done one with Adam Seeker. It went really well. I have done one with Odon Lafontaine, which is from also the Inara group.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very good conversation because, of course, he has his theory about the Judeo Nazarenes. I like the theory.
Me too. There's a lot
Yeah,
of credit. There's a lot of merit to it. I believe he's a very smart guy. I was one of the proofreaders of his book, and I really like the theory. I think it fills a lot of holes, and it's coherent. It makes sense. What were your further thoughts on that?
yeah. And people, if they want, they should just go to his English channel. They will find my video with him. And I am also recording with Dr. J. Smith these same errors. So,
Great.
yeah, so this is what's happening, and people downloaded over 700 times the free sample, and they are shocked, and they are sending me. They are shocked from what they are reading. So good stuff. Yeah,
Nice, very nice. I'm glad to hear there's this traction, and obviously you're welcome on the channel at any time if you want to promote something or talk about something, or you're always welcome. I'd be happy to try and help you and promote you. And I see Mal is in the chat, so Islamic Origins, welcome. Maybe we can bring you up later once we have an open session if time allows, Mal. Yeah, so welcome to Conatendo Al Islam. Turn my headphones up. Erwin, Bob, Andrew Martin, always welcome. Carmel, Juliet Abraham, welcome. Kyle. So yeah, everyone, good to see you all. Um, yeah, so today I wanted to talk about the word Alhamdulillah, right? Also the word Bismillah, and then of course chapter one of the Quran. I made some slides. I think it's 17 slides, and then you've got something you want to show the audience as a surprise as well, which I am surprised by. It validates something that I've been saying for some time. So your input is valuable. I mean, you are breaking new ground. Tell me, what is Jay's response to the fact that you've made these findings? So I think you are genuinely bringing something new, something truly groundbreaking to this community.
yeah. He is very excited, and just the very first segment that I have recorded with him, it got over 10,000 views.
Oh wow.
He, yeah, he is very excited, and he is also surprised. So I think the series with him is gonna be big because, and maybe I will be recording with Al Fadi, but we still didn't. He is still giving me dates and stuff, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna be good. Yeah,
Okay, no, and I see TDK Truth Defender is in the chat. He and I will be chatting on Saturday, so I will post that tomorrow, guys. So that's at 8 p.m. my time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, let's dive in, Murad. I've got so the first question I want to ask you is this is something I discussed with TDK in my last stream before I went on break and before the weather just went crazy here. Before my little office spare bedroom turned into a toaster oven. Um, Alhamdulillah, right? It says Alhamdulillah, not Alhamdulillah Allah. It's like saying Alhamdulillah Frank, and then you instead of saying Frank, you go Alhamdulillah Ank. You drop the F and the R, which is unusual, which could imply that you are dropping the la the al because it's actually the, and you are using the proper name of la, right? To me, this is odd. This seems to imply that because you also have in the Quran Al-Lat, Al-Manat, and the name is not Al-Lat, it's the Lat, the name is Lat. So why could we not have the name the La? We discussed this a few minutes ago. Do you want to just fill us in and or your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, what you are saying is correct, but I will say why I went with the, let's say, orthodox Arabic grammar,
Hmm.
because it's gonna ruin a lot of things in the Quran. If I assumed that it should be Alhamdulillah and La, then it's gonna ruin a lot of things. And Bismillah would be one thing, because this is the Aramaic way of saying things. It's Bshim in Aramaic, which in Arabic should be Bi'ism. So you should have Alif before this Sin Mim, Bi'ism, but it's not there. So if I would have ignored the Arabic of today and
Right.
used your criteria, then it was going to make the Quran crumble. But what
Okay.
you are saying, it has merit. It's right. It's not wrong. That it should be lillah, meaning for la, without
For
Allah.
that. Yes. Yeah. That.
Yeah.
So am I correct in saying, and I say this because I've done some research, I might present some of it here, but I'm trying to educate myself on this to do future streams on this. But scholarship seems to indicate that the Quran often has very bad grammar, and what's happened is the scholars have broken Arabic grammar to fit the Quran rather than adjust the Quran to fit with Arabic grammar, and this has caused these inconsistencies.
Yeah, I agree. But you see, this the Arabic grammar, it has been created after the Quran. So when
Okay.
you create, let's say we are playing a football match, then you put the rules after the fact that the match has been played. How are you going to go in retrospect and correct everything? Definitely you will make mistakes. So these mistakes, actually, they are not Quranic mistakes as much as they are mistakes from the system being created later after putting all the dots, then creating the Arabic grammar system. So it's very difficult to correct
But
everything in the Quran.
but sorry, Murad, you're wrong. Arabic is Allah's original language. It is the first language. Adam spoke it. Eve spoke it. I'm sorry, Murad. I'm gonna have to correct you there. Um, do you have anything to say in your defense, Murad?
Well, I don't know what are these people smoking, but it's certainly good stuff. That's something that I can tell you.
None of this makes any sense. Okay, no, that's fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Let me. So, thank you for that. I might have one or two questions later, but thank you. Would it be possible if I lean on you in the future to ask you some questions about some words and grammar as I go forward? Because I'm trying to. I mean, your expertise and the fact of your Quran is creating questions for me, and I'm trying to do research because of your work, and so you're the source I would need to turn to in the future, and hopefully I can ask you for help
Yes,
sometime.
sir. Yes, sir. Anytime.
Yeah. Yeah, so let me go here to my slides. Okay, I should be sharing my screen. Oops, there we go. Yeah, so let me bring this up. Okay, so today's discussion is on chapter 1, and later on we will come to Bismillah. So, Andrew Valencia, welcome, and CQ and others. Okay, so Surah Al Fatiha, Quran chapter 1. So, this is the first surah, the first chapter of the Quran. The word surah doesn't mean chapter. What does it mean, Murad?
Well, this word surah is not Arabic. In Aramaic, possibly it means
You disappeared there for a moment, Murad. Murad?
hear me?
Yes, I can now. Sorry, it means?
Yeah, surah does not it's not an Arabic word. It might mean the word of God. And this comes from the Professor Gabriel Sauma, and this is Aramaic. But in my translation, I do not have it translated because surah is not Arabic. Yes, Juliet, they are smoking weed.
Yeah, it's very good. Oh, wow. I shouldn't laugh because it hurts my throat and it hurts my chest. Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't mean chapter. So just give us, if you have to choose one word that the word surah means. I believe it also, in my research, I've come across it also means the word degree. Is that correct? Because that's what I've found. It means degree. So what if you had to choose one word that encapsulates the meaning? What would you choose?
Well, remember that my research that I have done has to do with Arabic language only. So I cannot give you the best answer now as to what it means, as to what any non-Arabic word means.
Hmm.
This I have to do more research. But I am giving you one suggestion from Gabriel Sauma,
Yeah.
and he says that Surah is the word of God. This is
Right.
his interpretation in Aramaic. Is this correct or not? I do not know.
Okay. No, that's good. Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, if I missed that previously, I'm sorry, but I apologize for that. Yeah, but also this is something I've noticed as well, and Malice just raised it. Surah is a location in Iraq that might refer to its origin, and I've also thought there's an odd conjunction there, because there's a lot. The Sharia most certainly was developed for the most part, not exclusively, but largely in that part of Iraq, which I also find very unusual and unexpected.
Yeah, I think Mel is referring to Surah and Pumbedita, which
Correct.
were in Iraq,
And
were
those were
Jewish
major centers of
academies.
learning. Yeah, those were major centers of Arabic and Jewish learning.
Yeah, so this is very possible that it comes from this place.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise is for Allah, Lord of all worlds, the most compassionate, most merciful, master of the day of judgment. You alone, in brackets, we worship, and you alone, in brackets, we ask for help. So, you we worship, and you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, not those you are displeased with or those who are astray. Now, that's the standard sort of English narrative. That's the standard English, I wouldn't say translation, but the standard English interpretation, right? And it doesn't specify who those who are astray and who those Allah is displeased with. It doesn't specify that. Yet within the Aqidah and in the Sharia, the ones that Allah is unhappy with are the Jews, and of course, the ones who are astray are the Christians. Any comment on that before I go on, Murad?
Yeah, in Arabic, as you see, it's very general, but I know that later interpretations they lock it just to Jews and Christians. But let me tell you that these two phrases they are in the Quran with other people, maybe also with Muslims. They go astray also. They err. They make mistakes. So just locking this to Jews and Christians is something that came in later that is not
Okay,
really verified by the Quran.
that is interesting. That is quite interesting because it certainly becomes legislated, shall we say? It actually becomes legislated later within the Sharia, and it's part of the Aqidah as well. And it's not always stated; it's implied, but the scholars will say it somewhere explicitly. And you've got by the name of Allah Ar-Rahman, the Merciful. Now, Ar-Rahman was a name that the pre-Islamic Christians that were in Arabia would call God Yahweh, and then also they came these, shall we say, pseudo-Christian sects that created a god called Rahman, who was also monotheistic, supposedly, but modeled after the Christian god. So they were competing, but they created their own gods, often named very similarly or with very similar characteristics. So Rahman, is this Rahman? Because Rahman was also a pagan deity. So is this Rahman as a name or Rahman as a characteristic?
No, this is a name. That's the reason I have it this way. Because in Arabic, you cannot say Ar-Rahman. This is something that's not in the Arabic linguistics. Ar-Rahim, okay, Ar-Rahim is the merciful one. But
Mhm.
Ar-Rahman, this is a name. That's why I have it this way.
So this is the name of the deity.
Yes.
So this is like, okay, that I did not expect because I that's why I have you on to ask you these questions. But Allah Ar-Rahman. So hold on, his name is the La and the Rahman.
Yes, this is how it's written. If we assume the Quran to be 100% Arabic, let me just quickly remind people how I translated this word.
Wow.
I assumed that the Quran is 100% Arabic and that there is no Aramaic roots, there are no Hebrew roots, Ethiopic roots, anything. Let's assume it's Arabic and give it its best shot. This is what you have here with my translation. This is its best shot. Because Ar Rahman is a very weird way of saying things and it's not in the Arabic dictionary. It has no root. So this is a name Allah Ar Rahman. Two names.
So, well, what is Rahman supposed to mean in Arabic? Well, what is it supposedly meaning?
Well, of course, any Muslim will tell you Ar Rahman is the same as Rahim. They are the same variations.
Merciful.
Yeah. And they say, well, maybe as you see here in the translation you've got, they say the most compassionate, the most merciful. This is wrong. Rahim is merciful. Rahman, if it's the same, then it will be maybe like the one who is ultimately merciful. But this is an assumption that the Arabs make just to explain away that Ar Rahman is just a name. You see?
That's very weird because now I'm trying to find Rahman because Rahman was a pagan deity pre-Islam, and it was modeled on the Jewish god Yahweh or the Christian god. It's something they were competing for followers, and they so Christianity became popular. So the other sects, including the Gnostics, started to copycat Christianity. Basically, that's I just
You
find
know,
that
you know the
pretty.
word Quran, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Quran is the same as Rahman. These words are not Arabic. These are not Arabic. These are just names. That's why you have to put it this way if you will assume the Quran to be Arabic when you translate into English. So
You
this is a
know,
name.
wow. You know, Murad, I'm amazed. We're on the first sentence, and already I have learned so much, and I realize how little I know.
No, sir, you know a lot, but it's just that I kept digging and excavating another area. That's just it.
Wow. I mean, but you're just sending me back to the books now. You know what I'm saying? You're sending me back to square one. I've got to go do some reading now. This means more homework for me. You know, I've got to go back to school. Wow. Wow. I did not expect this. So it's actually two names. It's not a characteristic like the merciful or the tall or the short or the fat or whatever. It's Rahman, a name. So,
Ar-Rahim is the one you're asking about. It's the adjective. This is the tall, the short. Ar-Rahim. But Ar-Rahman is the name.
wow. That is crazy. So Allah has a name. I thought he was the nameless God. You know, that is crazy.
There are other places in the Quran where it says Ar-Rahman just on its own as if it's God on its own. So this is also a name. So I have it as Ar-Rahman everywhere in the Quran.
Wow. Apparently, Christian Prince has been saying the same thing. So you've just confirmed. Apparently, I've also confirmed things that Christian Prince has been saying and so on. And apparently, he's used some of my work on his shows. He's actually apparently showed my face by sheer coincidence one time recently when he was talking to someone and brought up some evidence. So yeah, that's okay. Fine. I have to file that under F for filed and have a look at it later. So the praise is for Allah, Lord of the worlds, Ar-Rahman, the merciful. Okay, that's crazy. That's Allah, His name, owner of the day of conviction. I mean, this has got nothing to do with what's on the left here. Thee do we serve, and thee do we seek assistance. Great. Guide us to the straight path, the path of whom thou hast graced over, not the ones angered over, nor the errant ones. I mean, there are some differences here in interpretation, right? So clearly, owner of the day of conviction. I mean, that, yeah. Any final thoughts on this? Just so that I just lay the groundwork and say, look, this is verse one. Anything that we should take from this?
Yeah, just about the word Yawm ad-Din. Conviction is when you are, let's say someone robbed something, then he is convicted. This is the meaning of the word here.
Legal conviction.
Yes. So when they say judgment, they are being fraudulent in a sense. Because when you
Hmm.
judge someone, maybe he will be innocent, maybe he will be uh, convicted. But it's
So in
only negative. It's only negative.
so in their in the so in so the emphasis for them is that at the end times you're going to be convicted of a crime. The judge is going to convict you of crime.
Yes, and remember the Quran uses the word crime, it uses the word guilt. It uses words that are somewhat legal. It doesn't
So
use
it's not a
biblical
moral thing;
terms.
it's a legal thing. So that's correct. So Islam doesn't have morality; it has law.
Yes, that's why most Quran translations they use biblical language, which is wrong. They use the word sin; it doesn't exist in the Quran. They use immorality; it doesn't
Well,
exist in the Quran.
you
The
know,
Quran
Murad.
uses other words.
Yeah. Look, honestly, you are turning everything that I thought I knew, and I think for everyone else who's listening to you, you are turning everything on its head. You are making us go back to square one. We're having to look at this all from the beginning. It's incredible. I mean, it's like I don't know what to think again. You've got me so by surprise. Okay, yeah, let's move on then. So, okay, now no Quran readings are apparently Qurayshi. Now, the reason this is important is that apparently Muhammad, his family came from the Quraysh tribe. They were the ones who were in leadership and control over Mecca and the Kaaba, right? And then, of course, the hadiths state that when in doubt, write the Quran in the Qurayshi dialect. So we should have Qurans that were sent to the major centers, and we don't have those with money Qurans, unfortunately. But also, the Quran should be in this language of the Qurayshi dialect. So this is from Marijn van Putten. When the third caliph, Uthman bin Affan, tasked the committee led by Zayd ibn Thabit to write the official Mus'haf, he is said to have told them, write it in the language of the Quraysh, for it has been revealed in their tongue. Okay, so the Quran was revealed in the Qurayshi tongue or the Qurayshi dialect. Take your pick. This seems incompatible with the canonical readings. Any thoughts on that before I go to the next slide, Murad?
Yeah, I agree that this Qurayshi dialect, I think it's a myth. It doesn't exist. So there
Okay,
is
that's great.
nothing called it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Excellent. He goes on to say, while today there are 10 accepted canonical readings, or four extra, making 14 or 42 if you add whatever. Okay, while today there are 10 accepted canonical readings with two transmissions each, which can differ quite significantly in their linguistic details, not a single one agrees with the universally agreed upon linguistic features of Hijazi, or more specifically, Qureshi Arabic. Now that leads back to something Mal very wisely said earlier. We seem to have the Quran developed, at least in its later form, in the 7th and 8th centuries, 9th centuries. It developed in Iraq largely, and it got this linguistic influence from the north, from Syria, Syriac, Aramaic, right? It's got Hebrew details. It's got, and then later on you've got Syriac, Aramaic, and so on. And but none of it is Qureshi. So if the Quran came from the Quraysh, why is it absolutely positively not in Quraysh dialect? Are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have a problem with Quraysh just to begin with. I
All right,
cannot find this tribe. I cannot find their writings. I cannot find anything about them. So just the word Qurayshi dialect is a problem. So I don't know why they stick with this. We have to find Quraysh first. We have to establish that they existed first.
all
You
right.
know, in the right place or even in the wrong place. Just find these people first. Then we know what the dialect is. And how can you write a dialect? This is something that's strange. Also, a dialect is usually spoken. So it's
Yeah, and
the
the,
whole
and the
thing is
Arabic had not developed as a written language at that point in time as well.
yeah, the whole thing is very strange. I think it's a myth, just to make people, as they say in Arabic, one heart. Because when you go to war, you have to have one heart. You
Hmm.
don't have to doubt anything. One Quran, one dialect. End of story. Don't talk about this again. Let's conquer some land. Uh, I think this is what's happening.
All right. Yeah, CQ says here Deen is of Persian origin, guardian angel Daina. Although Deen comes straight out of the Hebrew as well, Deen being the law. So, and Quran is very much legal, or at least Islam is very much legalistic. It doesn't really have a set of right. It doesn't really believe in right and wrong as moral law. It has legal law, and legal law has loopholes. And yeah, so it's a very different concept to Christian or Western ideas of morality. So, but this is interesting that it might also have a link with the Persian. So something to look into. Um, okay, so there's nothing Qureshi. That seems to be a myth. I mean, the Quran, sorry, the Kaaba itself there are too many questions around the Kaaba, which make it also seem to be myths or just made up fabrications. All right. So this is Dr. Van Putten. He writes a long Reddit thread, right? So I'll just give you a short portion of it, but the link is up here. You can find it on Reddit, and it's from Dr. Van Putten, PhD NIX, PhD Nix. So, hi, Dr. Van Putten. What is the academic opinion about Surah Fatiha? Did the Mu'mins of the 600s, because at the time the Muslims were called the Mu'mineen, right? The Mu'mineen, they were not yet Muslims. That appellation came in the 7th, 8th centuries or 8th century, and that came from the second dynasty, I believe. So, the second Muslim dynasty. So, Mu'mineen comes out of the Hebrew, which is the idea of the 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 ha-menim. The ha-menim are those who are cursed, who are pagans, effectively speaking. So they seem to have embraced the idea that they are heretics. Call it heretics. Let's use a simple term. So they were the ha-menim, the heretics, and they embraced the term because the Jews were calling them heretics. So there is this case to be made that they are heretical Jews, heretical Christians. And they considered it as a prayer document when there was no Fatiha in the earliest Musafs. And he says the Fatiha was certainly part of the Uthmanic text. As for other pre-Uthmanic codices, there's no way to tell. Obviously, objectively, all we can say is that there are reports that say it wasn't considered part of the Quran. So, simply as an argument of dissimilarity, we have to take those reports seriously. The tradition was not interested in telling that story at all, so the fact that nevertheless reports come down reporting it is an indication that something is up. So we have reports that say that the Surah Fatiha was in the original Quran, and you have reports that say it was not. Your thoughts, Murad? What did you find?
Yeah, I personally think Al Fatiha is not part of the Quran, and the way it's just added later when they compiled the Quran. I think they added it later. So because the way it's written, this is a human being speaking to God, so it doesn't make sense. And I think it's copied from the Christian. What do you call it in English? The Lord's Prayer or something. It's copied. It's
Okay.
not original, also.
Yes, I believe Mal will know better than me on this because he's done more research, but it does seem to come out of the Bible as one of the prayers. Yes. Yes, there
Yeah.
does seem to be a similarity to. Yeah, correct. Okay, so let me see. He goes on to say now, so the Fatiha is the opening chapter of the Quran. He says it was part of the Quranic text as we know today, preserved by Uthman. All right, but reports say otherwise. Now, we don't know for certain what the early Muslims thought about the Fatiha, but there are hints that it may have been viewed differently than it is today. So we want to look at this. Now, there's a thing called, I don't want to get deeply into this. It's not very clear. I didn't spend a huge amount of time on this, but there is a thing called the Ma'adite theory, and this is considered a working hypothesis rather than an established historical fact. So, because the scholar Murad van Putten is saying we cannot just dismiss contrary details, we cannot just dismiss contrary reports because we like the other story, we have to consider them as realistic because they come out of the same milieu, and we have to say, why does the story exist? We can't just dismiss this, but it suggests that the Quran was not fixed in its current form until the time of Uthman, and that earlier recensions or codices of the Quran may have existed, which also means it was not perfectly preserved. Covered that before. It proposes that these earlier recensions may have been different from the version of the Quran that we know today, and I think we've established that already. The term Madite refers to Ma'ad ibn Amr, a Yemeni scholar, which is for me significant, who is said to have written a book about the history of the Quran. In some reports found in his book, he says there were differences before the Quran was standardized under Uthman. And some early Muslims did not consider the Fatiha part of the Quran. Anything you want to say to this, or does anything ring a bell for you?
Well, I know some hadith that says that Al Fatiha was not part of the Quran, and some supposed companions of the Prophet, one was said to scratch it out with his nail. He
Right.
kept scratching it with his nail to totally omit it from the Quran, saying it's not part of the Quran. Al Fatiha and two other verses in the end.
Hmm.
And this is a high possibility.
Yeah, I mean, people point at the Madite theory. The reason I bring it up is because it's not well attested historically, so it's easily dismissed. And they say, "Oh, that's the Madite theory," and you can just get rid of it. However, it's not that simple. That's not the sum totality of the evidence, because There are hadiths that say, but this is not part of the Quran, and there are reports that say it is. So there's a conflict within the Islamic sources. So there's ongoing debate, okay? And so let's have a quick look. Uthman's role in standardization. The third caliph Uthman ibn Affan, who died in 656 approximately, played a crucial role in the canonization of the text, which was only about 20 years after Muhammad's death, and he burned all of the deviant Qurans. There were deviant Qurans at the time. So within 20 years of Muhammad dying, already you had numerous variant Qurans, different versions of it. And they had to burn the other ones because they were so bad, right? And then, of course, he supposedly created one version, but today we have at least 42 versions of the Quran, right? So this involved establishing a standard version and ordering the burning of the other variant manuscripts. Before Uthman's standardization, there were reports of other earlier companions of Muhammad having their own Quran collections, Ibn Masud and Ubay ibn Ka'b, and they differed, and we know that they differed. And there were differences between these early codices. Now, they say here they were not substantial enough to change the overall message, but in some cases, as I've covered in the channel, they do. They alter the meaning of words, they alter the meaning of sentences, him versus her, you versus them, us versus them. They did not. You can, you cannot. These are contradictions. So these are invariant versions of the Quran, but the Quran is supposed to be standardized. Any thoughts, Murad?
Yeah, I agree with you, and I was surprised when Fadl Sulaiman he made this video with Chris at Speaker's Corner,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "Yeah, but they enhance the meaning and stuff," which is very weird.
They enhance the meaning. To say she committed a crime, he committed a crime.
Yeah, and they say in Arabic, this is the stuff that they say here that it doesn't get translated into English. The shuyukh in Arabic they say this is from the mercy of God. It's the mercy that you can have it as he sometimes and she sometimes. Yes, it is this lunatic. Believe me.
Wow. I mean, sometimes it says they stopped others going somewhere, or they were stopped by others from going somewhere. I mean, those are two. I mean, those are two completely separate parties of people. It's
Yeah,
like
but
saying
that's
Robin Hood
yeah,
robbed the rich to give to the poor, or Robin Hood was robbed by someone else who stole his money. Those are two completely different stories.
exactly. And it's very difficult to know who actually had the correct reading. It's very difficult. You will have to
Wow.
use the context so that you can at least get closer, and you have to use logic. It's very difficult. So actually, the Quran is lost through these all these readings.
Wow. Yeah, someone says an apology of Al Kindi 830. Yeah, this Mal will know better than me. The author says Uthman rewrote the Quran and they didn't have any copies of the Quran he produced. Here's a question from Small Clips Apologetics. What does Saint Murad say about the cave of Hira, an idol? And thank you very much for the donation. Any comment on that? Cave of Hira. I mean, this is, well, can I just add one comment? So, Christianity is what's called public revelation. So, in other words, this was something that was seen by numbers of people. And so, therefore, you have multiple witnesses. It's public. It's not like some guy stuck his head in a hat and then God whispered in his ear and he said, "Oh, yeah, I know you can't hear the voices, but I can hear the voices. And let me tell you this story." That's private revelation, which means that only you can hear it and no one else can validate that this is any sort of true story. But thousands of people were witness to Christianity, so there's a difference. So, Cave of Hira, this was Muhammad's soul telling. This was purely his story. It wasn't a public revelation. But your thoughts on that, Murad?
Well, all I know is that Cave Hira, which is in Saudi Arabia, is not the cave if Muhammad was going to a certain cave. And the documentary of Dan Gibson, of course, he thinks that Islam started in Petra. I do not think so, but he made a very good job dismantling the idea that
Mm-hmm.
Cave of Hira is the one in Saudi Arabia. It doesn't fit the geography, so it's a scam. And actually, uh, also they did not have dots back in the day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you the word Hira, if you put a dot above, what will it be? It will be Khira, and this would mean the cave of shit. So,
Um, you know,
so when these people they tell you that there are all these variants and these variants are beautiful, I will tell them, okay, cave Hira could be the cave Khira, What will you do with that? You have to deal with it.
Man, Murad, everything you tell me, I feel like I'm back to school.
No, it's just this is good if someone wants to use it in a debate. Tell him what about Kif Hira? I think is Kif Hira. How can you prove it otherwise?
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, and yeah, and the context is missing because the Quran misses a lot of critical details. So you can only fill it in from secondary and tertiary sources. And then they tell you that those sources are weak. So, wow,
Yeah.
that is, I mean, all of these tiny details that is coming out in the 21st century because of Saint Murad. Do you know what a difference you're making? And if people are going to listen to you, you are changing this entire. The word industry is the wrong word, but the entire field. You are going to change the entire field. We've just zoomed in. I mean, we were looking from a distance with a pair of binoculars, but now we're looking with a microscope. That's the difference you're making.
I am very happy to hear these words. And let me tell you just how I just got to these conclusions is simply by putting the standard Islamic narrative aside. So I said I'm gonna work. Actually, a lot of people they say, how can you understand the Quran without any other texts written later? This question used to really get me fired up. I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna interpret the Quran using only the Quran without ever touching anything that came after it. That's why
Right.
I got these new meanings.
Now, that's amazing. It's so obvious though. It's so obvious. It's like, why did no one else do it? You're like,
Yeah, that's
wow.
funny. That's why when you told me last time, what made you kept going on? Well, because no one ever did it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
So I had to do it. I just had to do it.
that's crazy stuff. So yeah, okay. So manuscript evidence. Now you have the Sanat palimpsest. A palimpsest is a piece of vellum or something which is leather, which people wrote on, right? And they erase the first layer by scratching it out or whatever, and then they write over it, and then you can see both layers using technology. The Sanat palimpsest is a significant early manuscript that contains a version of the Quran that does not derive from the Uthmanic recension. It shows readings that correspond to reports about other companion codices as well as unique variants. So it seems to be similar to the Ubay ibn Ka'b version or the other one. Can't remember the name right now, but it seems to be in keeping with one of those that are well attested in the Islamic reports of one of the other early followers of Muhammad. So it's not Uthmanic, and it contains other variants past those as well. So it's one of those variant Qurans that somehow survived. Shia perspective. Some Shia scholars, like Abu al-Qasim al-Kuway, argue that Uthman's collection of the Quran was metaphorical rather than physical, suggesting that he united Muslims on one authoritative recension that was already in circulation. Do you think there's any merit to that argument? Because, I mean, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, it's kind of close to what I was telling you is that you have an empire and you have a religion that has to make the empire stick together like glue. You
Yep.
cannot have, even if this is true that there are multiple Qurans circulating, you cannot have this as the official narrative. You will have to say that we have one Quran perfectly preserved, don't ask more questions. But let me tell you that Shia perspective, you also have to take it with a little bit of doubt because
Mm-hmm.
they hated the guts of any of the companions of Muhammad. So, so you can say that this is a hostile source one way or another. This is
All right.
important.
Okay, now understood. Yeah, and I'm aware of that. But yeah, but thanks for reminding the audience about that and reinforcing that point and clarifying that point. But yeah, there are these differences we need to bear in mind. But it's good to get their perspective sometimes because we don't always look at that perspective. Okay, yeah, I need to skip over that slide. Okay, now the word call or the word say. Say what? Okay, now the opening. Now you can tell me later if I'm wrong, okay? Because the word cool might mean, I don't know, it might mean toilet for all I know. The opening chapter of the Quran, Surah Fatiha, has a prayer like tone with language that appears to be an appeal to Allah for guidance and praise. It raises the question of how a chapter that sounds like a prayer can be part of the Quran, which is considered to be the verbatim words of Allah. Who is Allah praying to? Does that make sense?
Yeah, the word "qul" it means say. Um, there is no problem with that. So yeah,
Okay. It is problematic to assume that Allah is praising himself and asking for guidance from himself, as this would simply imply self referential contradictions. So, why would Allah start with a prayer to himself if it's the word of Allah to other people? Oh, you're fine. A more plausible interpretation is that the language of Surah Fatiha is spoken by Muhammad rather than Allah, which suggests that the chapter is not part of the divine word but the human words of the Prophet, obviously implying later addition. The absence of the word "kol" say at the beginning of Surah Fatiha creates confusion about the authorship of the chapter. In other surahs, the word "kol", such as in Surah 112 verse 1 and Surah 109 verse 1, highlights its significance in clarifying the role of the speaker. So it's present in some verses and it's missing in others, and it causes confusion. So we come to a guy called Ali Dashti, and he notes that the content of Surah Fatiha, consisting of praise, homage, and supplication to Allah, is characteristic of human language, not divine language. So he says it is unlikely that Allah would use language that addresses himself in the third person, as seen in phrases such as the Lord of the worlds and Master of the Judgment Day, because this is clearly third person references by someone to any comment on that, Murad?
Yeah, Al-Fatiha, it's definitely by a human, but I am more inclined to think that this is the believer's way of saying things, not Muhammad. So if you take the theory of Odon Lafontaine, this could be the warriors who are going to Jerusalem. This is the way how they start the prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no big difference here because we are talking about a human being. Al-Fatiha, definitely a human being is speaking, is praying to God.
Okay, so that's yeah. Interesting. TDK says that is why he keeps using we and us. There are many Allah, and Allah is praying to another Allah. Like yeah. So this is Ali Dashni, and he goes. He wrote in a book called 23 Years, a study of the prophetic career of Muhammad. Here's the link, guys, 1400years.com, right? 23 years, en.pdf. You can download the book, it's freely available. 23 years, that's Ali Dashti on the left, the book's on the right. And he tells us these words cannot be God's words from their content, or I should say Allah's words. I hate when they use the word God because they're trying to imply a false connection to Yahweh. But from their content, it is clear that they are the Prophet Muhammad's words because they consist of praise to Allah, homage to Allah, and supplication for Allah's help, unless Allah is asking Allah for help. In which case, maybe when Jesus asks Allah for, when Jesus asks God, when Jesus prays to God, and Muslims go, well, you see, why is God praying to God? That's irrational. We can go, okay, so in Surah Fatiha, why is Allah praying to Allah for Allah's help and guidance? Yeah, that sounds a lot like the same story you're trying to tell us about the Trinity. Maybe Allah is like a schizophrenic, multiple personality guy as well. So Allah Himself would not say praise to God, the Lord of the worlds, the compassionate, the merciful, the master of the judgment day, because then He's praising Himself and very much a narcissistic individual. Any comment, Murad?
No, sir, carry on.
So the difficulty would not have arisen if the Surat al-Fatiha had been introduced with the word say, Arabic kul, in the same way as many surahs and verses. See you later, Mel. Mel has to go. He will finish watching tomorrow. Okay. So, and he says, yeah, say, I am only a human like you. So then Allah's giving instructions to tell the believers, say, O unbelievers, or say, O believers, or say, He is Allah alone, right? He alone is the God, or and so on. That makes it very clear that's an instruction. But without it, if these are the literal words of Allah, then it makes no sense. Why is Allah praying to Allah? Why is Allah asking Allah for help? Because it is supposed to be the literal words of Allah without error. Would that be an accurate summation, Murad?
Yeah, just assuming that the Quran is the word of Allah verbatim is something that came in later. Maybe the Quranic author he wasn't intending that at
Yeah.
this point. Yeah.
And the idea that the Quran is unchanged, uncreated, that only happened, I think, in like the 13th, 14th century. I mean, that's apparently a very late belief. It only became consistent in the Muslim world probably around the 14th century. So it developed over time, but it was not an early belief by all accounts.
Yeah, and it comes from having too many variations. When you are fed up with too many variations, then you say, well, you know what? It's only one, and shut up. Don't talk about this again. That's what they have done.
Fair enough. So he says it is logically untenable that Allah should say, "Guide us to the straight path, Allah, the path of those on whom you have bestowed bounty, Allah, not on those whom you are angry and you have gone astray." Yeah, so inclusion of kul would have resolved this issue by clearly showing that Allah is commanding the believers to recite a specific prayer. Dashti then concludes that the absence of the word kul makes it logically untenable for Allah to be the author of Surah Fatiha. Therefore, it is a human composition, specifically the words of Muhammad, whoever Muhammad was. He says here, scholars tell him that more than 100 Quranic aberrations from the normal rules and structure of Arabic have been identified, more than 100. Needless to say, the commentators have to find explanations and justifications of these irregularities. Abu al-Qasim Mahmud ibn Umar al-Zamakhshari, good grief, what a mouthful, dies 1143, was a renowned scholar, best known for his book Al-Kashaf, which interprets and linguistically analyzes Quranic expressions. The Revealer, written 12th century, considered one of the most important tafsir or Quranic commentary works. He's known for deep linguistic analysis of the Quran, focuses on the richness of the Arabic language and the use of figurative speech in conveying meaning. His approach is heavily focused on grammar, syntax, and semantics. He believed that interpreting the Quran required a deep knowledge of Arabic linguistics, which I think you comply with, right? Or you agree with, Murad.
Yeah, the Quran is a very weird book. Let me tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why no Arabic person can fully understand it. And of course, I do not fully understand it myself. It's very weird for me. I do not use
Okay.
the words which are in the Quran. I had to put the effort and create this concordance so that I can illuminate some words. So it's very weird, very difficult. It's not the usual Arabic book.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just very unusual. I mean, I'd love to learn more about how it's weird, and hopefully we can in the future discuss some more. But just what makes it, because now we finally have a basis for comparison and discussion. So continuing. So while Al-Kashaf was widely respected and used as a primary source by many scholars, it is criticized for including Mutazilite philosophical views in its interpretations. Not going to go there now. Let's deal with that another time. Dashti notes that many scholars have pointed out irregularities in the Quran, but their opinions were often ignored or suppressed. Mahmud al-Zamakhshari, respected scholar, right, was a commentator and philologist who strongly criticized the tendency to manipulate Arabic grammar to conform to the Quranic text. So we're talking here the 11th century already. People were complaining that you're destroying Arabic grammar to make it fit the Quran rather than make the Quran conform, because that would have altered the Quran completely and you'd have a different Quran. Would you agree with that statement,
Yeah, the
Murad?
Quran, it breaks the Arabic rules, but the question is the chicken or the egg, like which came first?
Okay.
Of course, Muslims, they assume that the Quran is perfect. The Arabic also was perfect, and the Quran used its rules. This is a huge problem because then the Quran would really fail in Arabic grammar. It has a lot of mistakes in Arabic grammar. Let me tell you just a very quick story
Mm-hmm.
Odon Lafontaine told me about. There is a scholar called Sami Deeb, and in some point in his life, he gave Moroccan students who were Arabic speakers, he gave them an exam. And in one example, he added a sentence from the Quran, which had a grammatical mistake. He told them, correct these mistakes, and they corrected them. And then by the end, he told them, you know what? You have corrected the Quran. And they went berserk. They told him, no,
Mm-hmm.
this is wrong. Give us back our papers. Uh, you are a Christian, you are a fool, and all of this stuff. But let me tell why am I telling you this story? Just to tell you that it's clear, very clear, that the Quran breaks all Arabic grammatical rules. And also, when they translate into English, they act as if they were correct in the Arabic. So they do not translate the grammatical errors. Of course, they act as if they were not there.
I need to correct you, Murad. The Quran is written in perfect Arabic. And Arabic is the first language, it's Allah's own language. So, therefore, there's no way your story can be true.
Again, we are smoking weed.
with just a little bit of investigation and a little bit of proper knowledge, the whole Islamic story just falls apart. It just crumbles. I mean, Murad, you are dropping bombs here. You know that. I mean, the sad thing is that you are the only one with your particular unique knowledge, right, and experience. So your knowledge is filtering through, and others will hopefully pick up the baton and run with it as well. But you are dropping bombs here that I think some of us don't appreciate because we just don't have your level of knowledge. But really, this each one of these is like dropping a bomb down a mine shaft, and like Hamas is down the mine shaft, and you are just dropping nuclear weapons down these things, and it's crazy because each one of them shatters the foundations of a lot of assumptions and a lot of beliefs and things we had assumed. We didn't even investigate those assumptions.
Yeah, just let me tell you quickly that people do not know that I'm just an amateur. I'm just a YouTube content creator, and I just investigate. I like to dig deep into stuff.
Hmm.
So that's really what's happening. So having an amateur do this work means that these people who are in academia, they should be at least fired.
I
They are not
agree.
doing their work.
No, but you come without preconceived notions. You come without peer pressure. You come without the need to conform to a certain standard to fit in. I mean, you come with
Exactly.
with a clean plate, with an empty cup.
Yeah, exactly. And let me tell you that the English speaking world, uh, all Muslims and Arabic speakers, they fool them because, of course, they know that there is no Arab that one day will come and show them that the Quran has grammatical errors. I think only Rob Christian does that. He hits this nail, Rob Christian.
Uh huh.
So it's very important that you know that the Quran fails in Arabic. If you were to give a
That's
student
insane. That's insane.
these, yeah, it has a lot of grammatical errors. And actually, when you read my translation, you will think that I am making grammatical errors. No, it's I am copying the Quran exactly word for word with its errors. This is very critical.
Right, and the knowledge of these errors goes back to at least the 11th century. Or at
Yes,
least, I mean, this knowledge goes back 1,000 years.
they what they say is the Quran has its own rules. Since it's from God, it can break any rules. That's what they say.
Ah, jeez, I had oh my seriously, my head's gonna break. Honestly, man, my brain is breaking. Okay, great. Let's
Yeah.
continue. So, a Moorish author. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the specific details. This is Ali Dashti's book. I've tried to find who the author is he refers to here, and I have not been able to locate that yet. A Moorish author wrote about al Zamakhshari's approach, stating that instead of adapting the Quran to Arabic grammar, one should adapt Arabic grammar to the Quran, which is obviously what they've done. Right? They've bent and twisted history, fact, logic, and science to the Quran. This grammar obsessed pedant has committed a shocking error. Our task is not to make the readings conform to Arabic grammar, but to take the whole of the Quran as it is and make Arabic grammar conform to the Quran. So I'm sorry, Murad, I'm going to have to go with the scholars here because you're an amateur. You said it. And the scholars call you a grammar obsessed pedant who has committed a shocking error. Please defend yourself.
Well, I will say one thing. We can get 10 examples from the Quran,
Yeah,
but they have to be not very well known so that people do not recognize that this is the Quran. And
right.
give this to students and just tell them, correct these
Just
errors, and we will
correct
give
me
you a
there.
grade. They will
Wow.
correct the errors, just like the guy I'm telling you about did.
Yeah, I know. I'm just amazed. I mean, it's just incredible. No,
Yeah,
just obviously, I'm not being serious. So when I.
yeah, I know. I'm telling you, give these errors to someone who speaks Arabic, but not very familiar ones, so that it doesn't say, ah, this is the Quran. Just give them some of the ones which are not well known and tell them, correct this. You
And they'll
have
fix
basic
it.
Arabic grammar, correct this.
And then you realize from that, once you tell them actually these are sentences from the Quran, that the Quran is actually filled with basic scribal errors, basic grammatical errors.
Of course, they will go crazy. They will say any crap. They will say anything that's not logical. Of course.
I mean, that's an indictment. That's an incredible indictment on like what amateur clown show is this? What amateurs wrote this book?
Well, the idea is that the Quran might be Aramaic, and these are not errors in reading it in Aramaic. But when they created this system, then of course they didn't correct every single thing. Some stuff they forgot.
Fair. No, that's actually really, Murad, you really pull together a lot of strings. You make sense of a lot of things. You add substance, you add flesh to a skeleton, and it's really, I mean, amazing knowledge. And you've done an amazing amount of work. And I think I mean, really, it's not just having the an authentic Arabic Quran, but actually it adds to so many other mysteries and puzzles. You know. So this suggests that the Quran is considered to be in perfect Arabic because the language has been modified and twisted to conform to the Quran. Because you can't find fault with the Quran, so you have to destroy the Arabic language. You have to destroy the Arabic grammar to make it fit. Someone says here, can you give me some verses with Arabic errors? I'd like to test my Arab friend. That actually might be worth doing an episode on.
Yeah, it could be an episode because off the top of my head, I cannot give you right now. But maybe by the end, maybe I can look up one or something. It's very easy. If you know Arabic yourself, just type in Arabic أخطاء القرآن اللغوية, meaning the grammatical errors of the Quran, and you will find it in Google. This is not like something that's it's very hidden, you know.
Okay, yeah. So Nicodemus is saying, so send me an email, Nicodemus. That'll be great. Send me an email and let's see how it goes. Thanks. Okay, thank you. So in relation to Surah Fatiha, another detail is found in Quran 1587, which mentions the 7 oft repeated verses and the glorious Quran. So Abdullah ibn Masud, one of Muhammad's scribes, was asked about the meaning of the 7 verses, and he said it referred specifically to Surah Al-Fatiha. So I just want you to notice it says the 7 verses and the Quran, not the 7 verses in the Quran. We have the 7 verses and we have the Quran. So the context generally is that these are two separate things. So Suyuti al-Dur al-Mantur on Quran 1587. So quoting Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, Ibn Durais, and Ibn Munzar, and Ibn Madwiya, Al-Suyuti gives us the following narration in his work Al-Dur al-Manthur. What does that mean, Al-Dur al-Manthur?
I don't know what does the word ad-dur mean, but al-mansur is like the scattered. The scattered,
Okay.
maybe it's like some pearls or the scattered pearls, something along those lines.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Gems, you know.
That would make sense. I don't know, because sometimes they borrow the names of works from before and they use the same name and they, write in that theme or something. I've seen that before in their writings.
Yeah.
So it is narrated from Ibn Masud regarding the word of Allah. We have given you the 7 oft repeated verses. It is the Fatiha al-Kitab. Here he's calling it the book, al-Fatiha, not the chapter, not the surah, not the verse, but the book, Fatiha, as a separate book. Moreover, Ibn Masud omitted Surah al-Fatiha from his Mus'haf. This is one of Muhammad's scribes, original scribes, who did not have Surah Fatiha in his version of the Quran. Isn't that an egregious oversight for one of Muhammad's original scribes saying, "No, that doesn't come in here"?
Of course, and just the fact that this transmission came to us this day means that it has some merit.
Yeah. So when asked why he didn't write Al-Fatiha in his Mus'haf, he said, "If I were to write it, I would write it before every surah." Okay, I don't know what that even means, but fine. This is assumed to mean that he omitted it for brevity, trusting in its preservation by the Muslim community. The Quran says 7 verses and the glorious Quran. This implies the Quran points out that Surah Al-Fatiha is not part of the Quran. Dashti writes of Ibn Masud. For this reason, Abdullah ibn Masud, who was one of the scribes who wrote down the revelations and knew the Quran by heart, and later became a respected transmitter of hadiths, considered that Surah Al-Fatiha and also surahs 113 Al-Falaq and 114 An-Nas, both of which contain the words I take refuge with the Lord, are not part of the Quran. Now that's crazy. One of Muhammad's scribes is saying that these things are not part. I take refuge with the Lord. What is that in Arabic?
Well, I told you before, this
Yeah.
is I incantate. And let me tell you that in Arabic, this narration, it says, I wanna I wanna remove the two incantators because he doesn't like the fact that it has incantation.
That's
But
magic.
yeah, but there is something very important. 7 verses. No, in Arabic it says سبع من المثاني. مثنى means twos. So not one and not just double, but two doubles. سبع من المثاني means 7 of the doubles.
Seven of, sorry, you broke up there. Means seven of. Sorry, you said two doubles, and it means
7, do you hear me?
you're back. Yeah.
You
So
hear
you
me?
said two doubles, and then you said yeah,
7 doubles.
yeah, seven
That's
doubles.
that's what it says in Arabic. It doesn't say verses. It's not clear. السبع مثاني is very weird. It's not clear. 7 of the doubles. That's what it says because it's the
Seven
plural.
doublets.
Yes, it's the plural of methna, which is, when it says marry 2, 3, 4, this is the same word, but this is the plural of it. Methani is the plural of methna. So just saying
Um,
7 verses is an assumption. Someone says 7 pairs. Yeah,
uh,
7 pairs, you can say it this way.
okay, hold on. You know what? You just made me think of something. I don't know much about this topic. I'm just give me a second. I'm just going to bring this over. This is Gabriel Saeed Reynolds, right? And he speaks of what he calls Quranic doublets. Now, it's a pity that Mal's not here. Else we could have brought him up for this. But Mal has spoken about doublets in I don't know. He's mentioned rhyming doublets in the Hebrew scriptures in the Mishnah. This idea of
Ah,
rhyming doublets, couplets, and Gabriel Said Reynolds is one of the top researchers in this field, one of the top scholars. He says, "What might doublets in the Quran tell us about the origin of the text?" You've just opened another
ah.
door there, Murad.
Yeah, you see, these people, they put in the work in their area of expertise. I only look at the language. That's why I am surprised now to know that Mel has done something about it. So yeah, this is what it's saying. It doesn't say verse at all. This is an assumption. So just assume. And let me tell you, Al-Fatiha in other readings, they are not 7; they are 6. So so just cutting them into 7 ayahs or 7 verses, this
Okay, we're gonna.
assumes the hafs.
Sorry, my brain has imploded. I can't take anymore. I mean, even I was hoping we could just believe the standard narrative so I could sleep easy at night. But Murad, you're ruining my. You know, I thought we could trust the Muslim Dawagandists. And now you
No,
you are.
everything crumbles. These people, they have nothing to stand on. That's the reality.
I'm in pain now. You know that because it means I've got to go back and start over. I've got to listen to this video now. You know that. That's 46 minutes of my life I will never get back. Oh, oh man, the pain I go through because of Islam. Yeah. Well. Okay, so Murad, I mean, this is more than I realized. This is I don't know what it's like for the audience, but guys, I mean, clearly there's so much more to be uncovered, so much more to be investigated. I mean, the things that Murad is tells us that we need to go back to square one. We need to start digging from afresh, and there's so many new paths of exploration. It's just wow, 6, not 7, and doublets. These doublets. So okay, and it means I basically I do magic spells. I don't take refuge with the Lord. I do magic spells because I'm an occultist. Oh, great.
Yeah, I incantate. These are incantations, just like Harry Potter. This is the exact word used. This is not something that I'm making up.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is. Okay, so you guys, this is only 18 slides, and then we've got 4 slides from Murad. Um, so yeah, I think I'm on slide 14, so we're like 3 or 4 more to go. Yeah, Allah asks himself for guidance. So verse 1587 says, "We have given you," which means that Surah Al-Fatiha was a revelation to Muhammad. We have given you, Muhammad. This takes us back to the first question. How is it that Allah is asking himself for guidance? So there are two possible conclusions. Al-Fatiha is not part of the Quran, but a separate prayer. This is problematic because it means an entire chapter has been added to the Quran, which was not originally part of the Quran. So this is proof of corruption in the Quran. Muslims have been reciting a corrupted Quran with an extra surah for 1400 years. Okay, they're probably going to go, well, that's a nice surah, so what the heck? It's not a problem. It doesn't change the Quran in any way. The other conclusion is even, but then it leads us to question if that's been added, what else has been added? What else sounds good that was just added? The other conclusion is even more problematic. If we take it that it is part of the Quran, yet it is not Allah speaking, but Muhammad, then Muhammad's speech is now being passed off in the Quran as Allah's speech. Because you've got Mo speaking, and it's supposed to be Allah speaking, because it doesn't clarify that it's someone else saying. So, and a third conclusion is that Allah did reveal the surah with the word kul, say, but the word was lost, in which case the Quran is not perfectly preserved, which is another problem. So the Quran is then corrupted. Your thoughts on that, Murad?
Yeah, I want to ask you something that now I remember. You know the Sana'a palimpsest, or most Quranic, what do you call them, the manuscripts. Do you find numbers in them?
No, no. I have a copy of a Quran from the 1600s, 1700s. There are no verse numbers in them. I've read it. There's no verse numbers
Then
whatsoever.
how do you know that these are seven? This is a very late invention.
Wow. Murad, you're a genius. You hurt my brain because my feelings are damaged.
This
Because,
is something that's a very, very late invention, and they say
wow.
this because they do not know what does al-sab' al-mathani means, which are the seven pairs that have nothing to do with Al-Fatiha Surah 1. That's the reality.
Okay, wait. Let me. Wow. So I'm going to try and find my old Quran. And if where it is, I got to try and find it. I'm trying to find this old 1600s, 1700s Quran I got somewhere. Let me see if I. No, it's not that one. No, not this one. Oh man, where did I put it? It's like an old translation from the that the English did back, or the Germans did, but in English in the 1700s, 1650s, something like that. Oh
But
man,
definitely,
I'm
definitely
not.
Sana'a and Birmingham and the older ones have no numbers.
No, exactly. I remember. I have one somewhere. I just gotta find it. But yeah, it has no verse numbers. It's all just one big chunk of text. It's one big block of text.
Exactly, and even between each surah, there is no surah name. So the surah names also is a later invention.
Wow. Okay, so you know, we are amateurs. I mean, you're turning us all into amateurs, Murad. I feel like a
No,
child
no,
that's starting from scratch.
no.
Oh man, this is really bad. Yeah, I've got to find it. I have it somewhere on my stuff. But this is insanity. Okay, yeah. So there's no chapter numbers. There's no verse numbers in these old Qurans. No verse numbers, which means that how do you know it's 7 verses? How do you know it's not a dozen? How do you know it's 50? How do you know it's not 100 or 65 or 42? So yeah, okay.
Yeah, and even today, if you look at, we have now how much, 30 something different Qurans. I am sure that one of them has Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim as a verse, and another reading has it in one chunk. So it will make it just six uh, verses. You see?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean this changes everything. I mean, Murad, it's it really does change everything. And because one problem that I have, and I've spoken about this in the past, is that the we all grew up with the standard Islamic narrative, and we are as much propagandized and indoctrinated into it as the Muslims are. So even though we might have some differences because we've started to educate ourselves, we are still we are still accepting certain premises which we don't know any better. And you are now telling us that actually we need to question all of these premises. That there's that that almost everything we believe is false. That's a big change to make.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So let me see. This is Bukhari, narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's messenger said. Now it's weird that Abu Huraira must have started. I mean, how many hadiths? Like 60% of the hadiths start with Abu Huraira saying something. I mean, this guy was a busy little man, right?
Yeah, and I think there are hadith saying that this guy, he used to fabricate hadith to eat because he was starving. So,
Uh-huh.
but it's something that maybe someone knows this hadith. He could put it in the chat.
Okay, so yeah, because this guy, I mean he's like Mr. Hadith, right? He's like almost all the hadiths start with Abu Huraira said. It's like, okay. The substance of the Quran is the seven oft repeated verses, Al Mataini, and it's the great Quran. So this is the substance of the Quran. Okay, that's all fine and well. But also, while there are hadiths that say that it is now technically what he's saying here, at least the interpretation of the scholars, including these three hadiths down below, these hadiths basically tell us that these are hadiths that came later to say that Surah Fatiha is part of the Quran, was part of the Quran, was included in the original Quran. But there's also evidence that says the opposite. So they've created these hadiths or to to try to shore up that narrative. Any thoughts on that, Quran? On this
Yeah,
whole Quran narrative, Murad?
yeah. I want to comment about the word They say substance. Is mother. So it
Yes.
says al Quran, meaning the very core of the Quran. And this is deeper than just saying the substance. This is
Mm-hmm.
the very core of the Quran. And again, we are assuming oft repeated verses. No, السبع مثاني are the seven pairs. I don't know what does
But
this
there's
mean.
only but there's seven of them. There can't be seven pairs. How can it be seven pairs if it's just seven of them? It's seven individuals.
Yeah, exactly. So this alone, just looking at the Arabic, makes the whole Fatiha thing crumbles.
I mean, so in the sentence, let's assume there are seven sentences in the Fatiha, right?
Yeah.
Are the sentences written in a way that they rhyme? So the first half is like one side of the pair, and the last half of the word of the sentence is the second half of the pair. Could that be possible?
Well, then to make it like three pairs, it will again crumble because it will be 3.5 pairs because each one you will have to break in two, and it doesn't really rhyme the way you would like it to rhyme.
Okay, so it doesn't work. That doesn't fit. I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt here.
No, no.
Okay, and I just want to mention. So this is Robert Kerr. So yeah, this is my last slide. I think I don't know. Yeah, this is my last slide. So Aramaisms in the Quran and their significance from Robert Kerr, who Mal has met. So originally published, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Just so we know. Um, gee was let me move this away quickly. Animations, fade. Oops, wrong mistake. I need to change that. Disappear. Okay, start again. Okay, so 7.1 Variations of the Fatiha. So Robert Kerr writes the notion that only one version of the Fatiha exists is an anachronistic myth, and other interesting versions of the text in Surah 1 are attested, such as the two published by Jeffrey. This is Arthur Jeffrey. Arthur Jeffrey is the guy that obviously was one of the major scholars of the 20th century of the Quran. Yeah, he gave us this, the foreign words in the Quran. So, or I should call it the Quran. Arthur Jeffrey was a major scholar at, I think, Harvard and or Princeton, and he also taught in Egypt. He was professor of Arabic and Quranic studies. And from him, we learned originally, this is 1938, 1939. So this is slightly out of date, but it's not completely irrelevant now. It's just that the word count probably would have gone up with more research now. But he shows us that we have up to 55 languages that have been borrowed into the Quran. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the word was directly taken from another language and added in, but a concept that didn't exist in Arabic was borrowed from another language, and the word, you can see the connection from the Arabic word to the original language. So the words are similar enough, or the concept is similar enough. I mean, there's Turkish, Slavonic. They even mention Norse, right? But Amharic, Coptic, Nabatean, right? So you have this. I mean, so you've got 17 Nabatean words, and so on, which makes up just under 1%. Your thoughts on this? And Robert Kerr tells us there's more than one version, at least three versions of the Surah Fatiha.
Yeah, I agree. And we all know that the Quran, of course, has, because it can't be pure Arabic. I think there is no language that is not, that's pure. If you look at any language, you will find that it has loan words. But let
Mm-hmm.
me tell you, there is also another way of looking at it. When we say Quranun Arabi, Arabic could mean that it's Arabic as in language, or
Mm-hmm.
that it is Arabic as in race, for the Arabic race, for the Arabian
Right,
people.
right.
So this could be another way of looking at it.
Understood. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So we've got Phoenician, Avestic. I mean, that's like India, if I recall, Kurdish, Talmudic, whatever that is, Sogdian. I think that's from Armenia. Parthian, that's Iranian. There's definitely Iranian links, so I should discuss another time. So he writes here the significance of Aramaisms, or the inclusion of Aramaic, or an Aramaic substrate, which agrees with what you've said, Murad, in the Quran, lies in their indication of the cultural and linguistic influences present in the Quranic text, suggesting connections to the Syro Palestinian region. So now we're heading north to Syria, Turkey, that part of the world. And Aramaisms, now don't forget, few people are aware that Palestine back in the day really meant Greater Syria, right? So that actually meant Syria slash
Mm.
Turkey. So you're talking Canaan and northeast, correct, Murad?
Yeah, I know about this. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So they didn't mean that little piece of land in the bottom of Israel. They actually meant Palestine meant Syria. So that meant Syria, Canaan, Syria, up north towards Turkey and Iraq. So yeah, it didn't mean. So yeah, the Syro-Palestinian region. So that's interesting. So it came from that region of the world. Aramaisms in the Quran point towards a continuation or evolution of a literary tradition that was already established, which means it could well have come from a book that was already around, which goes with the other theory. It wasn't written by they Uthman. There was a book that was floating around. He just grabbed it, made copies, and burned the rest. So it was already a pre-existing tradition. So rather than an entirely new revelation to an illiterate prophet, the overall conclusion from the analysis is that the Quran's likely place of origin is Syro-Palestine. He means Syria. Let's just think Syria. And its textual transmission is not unique compared to its predecessors, such as the Hebrew Bible or the Christian New Testament. This means a complex history and evolution of religious texts in the region. So Mo didn't get one from Allah. There was a development over time in the north and east. Although I would say, obviously, the traditions and the paganism comes from Yemen and East Africa, and that's the basis, and everything else is built on top of that. Anyway, your thoughts? That was my last slide for now, Murad.
Yeah, let me tell you that the word illiterate prophet is also one of the mistakes that came in much later. Because
Okay.
Ar-Rasul al-Ummi, if you break it down into Umami, it means a prophet of the nations. He's not Jewish. So he was not Jewish by lineage. It doesn't mean he was unlettered
Oh, he's
or
a Gentile.
illiterate.
Meaning he's a Gentile. Yes.
Gentile. So understanding the word Ummi as someone who can't read or write is a very much later invention.
Why would they do that?
Because to prove that the Quran is a miracle, you will
I
have to
mean,
make the guy illiterate.
it just, you know what? It's hard for me to process the fact that they would lie about everything, the most obvious things. I mean, why? It's just shocking. It's it's hard to process.
Yeah, these are lies that didn't come in one go. They are lies, centuries upon centuries of lies. And remember, the Crusades, they had a huge impact on the Muslim world. So they had to make themselves as distant as possible from Christians so they had to make up this stuff. You will have to look at it within the context of what happened historically. So the caliphs also, they used to ask the people to write, like the scholars and stuff. They used to tell them by an order, write this, write that,
Right.
because the caliphs, they were lunatics also. That's why they kept changing Islam as time went on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you get an insight from this. From I read the Sharia, and you. I mean, I've read like so many Sharia books, and you eventually you get a logic. You figure out the logic. You figure out the thinking, and so you
The
can
pattern.
predict things. Yeah, a pattern, and you can predict things. You can just know how something is going to be without even like having read it, but you just know. Oh, this is how they think, so that's the conclusion they will come to, and you find that you are always right in your predictions. So you must have developed a sense already as well of the thinking, the pattern, the way that they think here.
Yeah, and with the Quran even more. Like that's why when I tell you something in the Quran, most probably I am right because I have learned the pattern. I know how this author thinks.
Hmm.
I have been in his mind for quite some time.
Right.
That's the idea, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, seriously. And so let's go to the last few slides, which is what you've got. So you've got a surprise for the audience. So this is the bonus section. Thanks, guys, for staying here this long. Um, so yeah, do you want to tell us about this one? Because this blew my mind when you told me earlier. So yeah, Baal. Yeah.
Yeah. The question for the audience is, how many times was the word Baal, which is in English people say Baal, how many times was this word mentioned? Well, people think only once. Let me tell them that it's three times. And here it says, وَإِنْ امْرَأَ خَافَتْ مِنْ بَعْلِهَا. In my translation, this is my translation. And if a gentle woman feared dissonance or aversion from her Baal, from her Baal, any English translation will have this as her husband. Why? Because they just assume.
Husband. Husband. I mean,
Yeah.
that's egregious. It says obviously Baal. Why would this be husband? It's obviously not husband.
In Arabic, the word Baal, it does not mean husband at all. It doesn't mean
What?
zawj or anything along those lines. Here is it's just saying Baal, which that's what the Quran is saying. It's a proper name. So this is
So it's
one
a
of the
proper name.
surprises.
It's not an adjective. This
No, that's why I have it in capital. As you
it's not
see,
a
it's
title.
Baal.
It's
No, it's Baal, and it's written the very same way as in the last example, which I will show you.
okay.
As
So
Ar-Rahman, remember Ar-Rahman? This is the same issue.
that's insane. I mean, the problem is you've got to reset. You've got to literally reset, and then you've got to go. Okay, you've got to start at zero, and then you've got to. Well, what does this mean? You've got to figure out from scratch the context and the meaning and the source. Because why is it a proper name rather than a? Because look, Baal can mean lord, owner, master, right? Your boss. It could mean your boss, right? In a sense.
Yeah,
But technically, it's the name of a. So Baal for us can mean the name of the deity, the pagan god Baal, the head of the pantheon, the major pagan deity of the Canaanites, the Ugarites, right? So this was the major enemy of the Canaanites who had their god Baal, and then the Jews had Jehovah, right? Okay, fine. But Baal can also be the local deity. Like you can have the Baal of my little village, the local deity of my village. He's the lord of my village. But then Baal then is just a general term, the lord of, the master of, the deity of, the little god of, rather than Baal himself, right? So
I
it can have these
understand what
contexts.
you are
Yeah.
saying, and I think uh, meaning her Lord is more appropriate.
Hmm.
But with one exception, is that you have to throw Arabic in the garbage because this is not Arabic. Baal is not Lord or her
Yeah.
master in Arabic. This is
It's
Aramaic and
Canaanite.
Hebrew.
It's Ugaritic Canaanite. It comes from
Yes,
before, long before.
that's the idea. That's very critical. If you want to say the Quran is 100% Arabic, then this is her Baal, the one you see in the picture.
What does Baal mean in Arabic?
It has no meaning. It's just this name for this deity, Baal, the one you see in the picture. This is what you will get from the dictionary. It
Wow.
does not mean husband.
So why did I mean this is included in the original Arabic? You'd think they'd have the word husband there then.
No,
So
it doesn't have husband. In Arabic, if you will say
and
husband,
they have it as a proper name. They don't have it as a title, my lord, which would be logical in the context, but they have it as a proper name.
no, that's why I will show you in the two examples.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So here again, قالت يا ويلتي أألد وأنا عجوز وهذا بعلي شيخا. She said, "Oh my woe, am I to birth and I am an over 50 thwarted person and this Baal of mine is senile." Again, this is a proper name, Baal. You see?
Okay, that's weird, man. That's just weird.
I will show you why this is a proper name. Now go to the next example.
I just wanted to bring up here. I got this from Etam Online, the online etymology dictionary. Ba, name of Semitic solar deity worshipped by Phoenicians and Carthaginians, as well as the Ugaritic tribes and the Canaanites, with much license and sensuality. So, yeah, a little bit of a sexual deity with loose morals. Later, 14th century, biblical, late Latin, Baal, Greek, Baal, and from the Hebrew, Baal, literally owner, master, and lord. The title applied to any deity, including Jehovah, but later a name of the particular Phoenician solar deity. From Baal, he took possession of. Also, he married. Related to or derived from the Akkadian god named Belu, source of the Hebrew Bel, name of Marduk. Marduk is important. That is a Babylonian deity. Marduk was the primary deity of Nabonidus. Nabonidus then switched allegiance away from Marduk, which is Jupiter, and the Roman god Jupiter, if you want to think of that way. So he used to worship Marduk, and then he adopted the god from Syria or something like that. Syria, Turkey. He adopted the god Makkah. Makkah is also known as Sin. Makkah is also a city in Saudi Arabia somewhere. Sounds familiar. So you had Al Makkah, which is the god of Yemen, right? But of course, in Babylon, he was called Sin. So he adopted the new god, and then he settled just north of Medina, right? Yathrib. He settled in a town just north of, I think, called Tema. So he brings Sin to Arabia. He brings Al Makkah. So that's Marduk. It's identical with the first element in Beelzebub, okay, Satan's right hand man, and the second in Hannibal, grace of Baal, and Hasdrubal, the help of Baal. And of course, Millie Dave says, what about Hubal? And yes, the Allah of the Kaaba, the Baal of the Kaaba was called Hubal. And Hubal was Allah. Allah was Hubal when Muhammad was born, when Muhammad was a boy. So yeah, your thoughts on that, all of this, Murad?
Yeah, about the word Hubal, it could be, if you break it into two, it will be Huwa Baal, meaning he
Mhm.
is Baal.
Yeah,
But when
yeah.
you put them together, it will just be Hubal because this is easier for an Arabic person to say it.
Yeah,
So
and
it
that
is,
who comes from he who is. I looked that one up. It's like he who is,
yeah,
and it's very similar to Yahweh, the one who is. I am. It's that same sense, I believe.
yeah, it's a verb to be.
Okay,
He
okay.
is.
I'm glad when you corroborate my stuff because I don't know Arabic. I mean, it's not my first language, so I'm glad I'm not making stupid mistakes that you're pointing out.
Yeah, good stuff.
No, thank you. I mean that really helps. I mean for you to add that knowledge. Okay, yeah, let's continue. Yeah.
Yeah, so here it says أتدعون بعلا وتذرون أحسن الخالقين. This is again my translation. Do ye, I have ye here, of course, for people to know that this is for plural. In my translation, I have ye and thou and thee,
Hmm.
not because I wanna look cool. It's because I don't wanna waste the fact that in the Arabic these are different. There are plural, singular, and also double. So I say
Hmm.
here, do ye evoke Baal and leave behind the best of creators? So here, the word Baal is written in Arabic in the very same way it's written with these two women referring to Baal. So if you want to assume that the Quran is 100% Arabic, then you will have to have Baal as a proper name.
That's crazy. So here you, I mean, this is correct, right?
Yeah,
Would you cry unto Baal and forsake the best? So the Quran knows about Baal, and they
and
used to
it's
worship
written.
Baal. His father,
Yeah,
his grandfather, his uncle, his mother all worshipped Baal when he was a boy. Muhammad. I mean, assuming the guy
yes,
ever existed.
exactly. If you want Baal to just mean Lord or her Lord or her master, you will have
Hmm.
to throw Arabic in the garbage. That's what I'm arguing. That's why I'm telling you this translation is like 100% assuming Arabic. We do
Wow.
not have the word Baal meaning Lord in Arabic. This doesn't exist.
Okay, so then it's a name. They're taking a name. Would you evoke Baal? Would you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
And you
I mean,
see here, of course, this is something extra. Leave behind. The word zar means leave behind, not forsaken.
but then here's the thing: the context of leave behind. It's okay. You can say, would you forget about Jesus? Would you forget about God? But leave behind, kind of like that rock that's sitting on the shelf
Yes,
there. Would you leave that behind?
thank you. This is the exact word in Arabic because it's mentioned also with merchandise. Will you leave it behind? And it's
But
mentioned with when you die and you leave behind something that's physical.
that's
This is the
obviously
Murad
pagan then.
translation, my friend.
But
This is
then,
why I have attention to details like crazy.
but Murad, that explicitly, if not stated, it implies that Allah then is a rock.
Yes.
And man, you know,
But but I want to ask the people: are they downloading my sample like crazy now, or are they just smiling? Because
guys,
this is important.
yeah, this is insane. Um, just where do I send the money, Murad? Just tell me where I got to send the money.
No, no, just people can download the sample if they are interested in the future translation, which will come up soon.
Right. Yeah. So how's that going? I mean, well, what's your reasoning behind delaying? Obviously, you want to create buzz. You want to. When are you going to be on with Chris? Any plan?
He didn't send me. Uh, I sent him once. He told me I will get back to you, and he didn't get back to me.
Okay, I'll remind
So,
him.
so that's just it. I didn't send him once again. I know he's busy. So that's it. Yeah, my
Okay.
head
Yeah.
is
No.
bursting.
Yeah. Mine too. I fully agree, man. I mean, it's just like every step you take, it's like a landmine, like a little bomb going off in your head. It's like, I mean, how do you? Why have scholars, and this is egregious, why have the top academics like Shady Nasser, like Saeed Reynolds, why have they not raised these issues? Why have they, and also, even when they do come vaguely close to some of these things, their conclusions are so vague and inoffensive. It's like you're begging them to just put two and two together and come to four, and they're like, well, we think that if you take the word S and the letter A and the letter T and A and N, we think it probably means something that's not great. Anyway, oh wow, there's a bunny. Let's go have some tea. You're like, huh? I mean, it's
Yeah.
shocking.
Well, let me tell you why I think they do not reach the right conclusions. One thing is that they say, well, any word can have multiple meanings. I said, no, hold on. The English dictionary is very huge, and the Arabic as book, the Quran as a book is very small. Let's just assume that the English dictionary has this exact same word for the Arabic so that I can use it in every single context in the Quran.
Hmm.
Do you know I have read the Oxford Dictionary, but the abridged version? It's over
Right.
4,000 pages. I have read it all so that it opens my mind for new vocabulary. And as I read it, I said, this word probably in the Quran, let's just highlight it, let's just uh, see exactly what it means. So I have this word da'wah. You know this word da'wah where they use it today. They say
Yep.
da'i. Da'wah means evoke. So you evoke. It's not call or invite. How did I reach this conclusion? Reach this conclusion is by looking at every single word. So in my translation, the Quran has very few vocabulary. Why? Because I have already chosen a very sharp word that goes with every single context in the Quran.
Right. This is the Encyclopedia of Islam, and I've got dawah here. Call, invitation, but propaganda or pretension. And it's propaganda to spread Islam, basically. Propaganda for the family of Muhammad. Propaganda for the Imam. Propaganda for guidance. It's actually propaganda. That's at least what, at least this meaning, the academic meaning. So, what is the meaning you came across in the Quran?
Evoke.
Evoke. To evoke?
Propaganda,
Well, yeah.
yeah, propaganda is what it means after the Quran. So in Quran, you cannot say, do you make propaganda for Baal? No, it's do you evoke Baal? You see?
To evoke. To evoke or invoke?
Evoke.
Hmm. What's the contextual difference? So what's the, because evoke is normally like to, maybe to imagine something, to think about a picture in your head. Evoke an image in your brain. But invoke, so evoke, that would be to call up a spirit or
Yes,
to
sir. This is da'wah. This is the original meaning.
to
Did it
evoke.
change into propaganda with time? Yes.
So hold
Yes.
on. Dawa is to evoke, right? Is to call up something in your mind, right?
Yes.
So there's a principle in Islam called samia, right? Which translates effectively as letter magic, but we would, on a practical level, we would term it something like NLP, right? Neuro linguistic programming, or
Mm.
conversational hypnosis, right? It kind of falls in that. Oddly enough, it falls in that category. It's about leading, suggesting, using language that captures and leads imaginations. That would be to evoke and to use manipulation to deceive and manipulate. Would
Yes.
that
This is
be
what
correct?
it means. Yes. This is evoke. This is da'wah. And you see,
That's
when
scary.
you say propaganda here, uh, it's kind of close. When you do propaganda, you are using NLP, you're using all this stuff. So it morphed into something even further. But da'wah just on its own is calling on spirits and stuff.
Wow, scary. That is frightening. And then the last slide. No, that is frightening, Murad. That is frightening. I mean, this rewrites everything. We've got to go back to square one and start over.
Yeah. This last one, it's about the word Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Um, Here it says that the book which was from Sulaiman, it says it's from Sulaiman and it is by the name of Allah ar-Rahman, the Merciful. So I'm suggesting that maybe the people who wrote Al-Fatiha, they had it from this book. They took it from this assumption that this is from the word of Sulaiman because it's the exact
Solomon.
same phrase.
Yeah, but Solomon was guilty of marrying pagan women and indulging in pagan gods and magic.
I'm talking about this phrase. The person who created Al-Fatiha, because he is a human being and he is later than the Quran now.
Uh
Maybe
huh.
he took this Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim from this verse in the Quran. This is just a suggestion. This is not something I'm really sure of. I'm just telling you that this is very interesting that
Ah,
this is word for word in,
what is in Surah Fatiha? Yeah.
yeah, the very first sentence.
So it could be an exegesis of Surah 27, verse 30.
Maybe, and maybe it's they assumed that it started like this one with Sulaiman, and that's why I don't have in the name of Allah. This is a Christian obsession. They are obsessed with saying in the name of Jesus and stuff. It's
Right.
by the name of Allah because it's written by Him here, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Very important.
And he has a name, Ar Rahman. It's actually his name. That is
Yes,
insane. I did not know that. I mean, like, seriously, how many years have we gone without knowing that's his actual name? Wow. That is crazy stuff. I mean, this. Okay, so this could have a link to Surah Fatiha. And
yes, this exact phrase, this exact sentence which you see here, is the very first sentence in Surah 1.
okay, So that's the only link we have. So that's something to think about. The sort is there a link between the two because they're exact phrasing. Okay, that's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah. So that's it from me though. That's it from me. Yeah, that's man, my mind is blown. I have to go back and think about all of this now because you've put a completely new perspective on all of this, and I think just for the audience, I think many people had their minds blown as well. It just shows how we've been deceived, all of us.
yeah. This all comes from the standard Islamic narrative, which comes from the Ottomans. So this is as late as the Ottomans, and maybe they were playing with this stuff during World War I. You do not have manuscripts for Bukhari which are early. You get the complete Bukhari by like the 18th century, and this is from a Moroccan scholar.
That
He's looking
is,
at Sahih al-Bukhari,
I'm
and
sorry,
imagine this
sorry,
is
Murad.
Bukhari.
Bukhari is that comes from the ninth century. It's like just 10 minutes after Mo died, they were that's solid Sahih.
And actually, even about Sahih Bukhari, people they think it means that the hadith is correct. No, it means that the chain of narration is correct. So it's talking just about the chain of narration. This is they assume to be correct.
Yeah, not the
But
matan. It's the isnad. Yeah,
yeah, and just the word isnad, if you look at it, it means to isnad is like to make a foundation. It means that something is crumbling already. This is the word isnad.
oh
If you're
my.
gonna fall, I'm gonna do isnad for you. I'm gonna just put my hands so that you don't fall. It means that something is already falling.
Yeah. And also, apparently, Bukhari, I mean, his transmitters who passed on his work, he had a couple of students. One of them had a folio written by Bukhari, which only had chapter headings and no hadiths. So someone apparently filled in the pages because they just had chapter titles, and then someone filled in hadiths in the blank pages. And then also between his two reciters, there are differences in their hadiths. And in fact, there are variations, just like there are variations in the Quran. There's variations in Bukhari's hadiths as well. So even there, you've got these divergent variations. Even in
Yeah.
Bukhari, the same problem with the Quran exists with Bukhari.
And my question is Bukhari talking just about the Prophet of Islam? Then why do we have the story of the she monkey being stoned? Why? This is not about Muhammad anyway at all. So these weird stories are stuff that was being written at that time and they were added. So as you see, maybe Bukhari just wrote one
That's
page, then the books keep getting fatter as the centuries go by.
that's because you didn't read it in the original Arabic. You're reading it in later Arabic, But you because sorry, Murad, and it's like you are too obsessed with grammar. You need to think about the feeling, the you need to feel the Holy Spirit coming down upon you like a fire.
Yeah, and evoke Baal.
I don't know. This is in studio. You're taking a shotgun to this thing and you're just unloading on it. It's just, so yeah. So guys, very wonderful stream indeed. So much information. Allah needs to go to Murad for an Arabic lesson for sure. So yeah, guys, thank you all very much. So Murad, do you want to plug your book? You should tell people where to go, where to find to where to get a copy of your book and help your channel, support your channel.
Yeah, people, if they are interested in my upcoming Quran translation, as they have seen these three verses, they are from my translation, and it's totally different than anything they have ever read because I didn't read any hadith, didn't read any Bukhari, Tabari, Tafsir, anything like that. I just worked with the Quran um, and using my way just through the Quran. If I want to know what does a word mean, I just go to another verse in the Quran. If they are interested in getting this translation, just download the free sample that I
Right.
have in this link. I think people will put it in the chat so that they will be on my email list. Then I will, once it's out, I will send them the link so that they can download it. But the free sample is free, but of course the translation costs money, but not a lot of money. So they can do that now, and they will be shocked from what they read.
Yeah, guys, the links are in the description, so please check the bottom of the video. You'll find the links there. So yeah, that's man, this has been amazing. Thank you, Murad. I hope we can chat again in the future on another topic. I just thought the first chapter of the Quran could use some examination. I'm sure there's much more to be said, as we've discovered, but hopefully we've given everyone a good understanding of just questions to be asked about just chapter one. The very first sentence of the Quran already invites questions.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, and it's always a pleasure talking to you.
No, it's been great. Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys. I wish you all well and thank you for being here. So everyone, good night, and please go to the coffee shop. Well, what's it? Buy me a coffee. Download a copy of the Quran. Subscribe to Murad's newsletter so that when he publishes this Quran, you get notified. And we should all make sure that we start to study this, and hopefully we'll chat some more about other chapters because I think there's going to be a million questions that as we start to take the Quran apart and really finally do something about all of these lies. So thank you. Last word to you, Murad.
Well, I have no nothing in particular to say. I'm just happy to be here, and I hope that people, when they download the free sample, that they write comments so that I respond to them if they have questions. Of course, I'm getting a lot of downloads now that I didn't really expect. So I am happy that people are happy with this work, and we will meet again for sure.
Yep. Okay. Good stuff. No, thank you. So, guys, thank you all very much. Been a great pleasure having all here. And Murad, thank you. Till next time, everyone. Good night.